Every year, I ask God to give me his sentiment for me for the next season. And whenever I pray or I talk to God, I always ask him to make it simple so that I can grasp it. Give me confirmation, maybe in scriptures that I'm reading during my personal devotional time, or a word that I pull from a message at my church. I just don't want to miss anything that he has for me. Now, so many anointed leaders have already done a really great job defining this next decade before us. But for me, it breaks down into a few simple words that I want to share with you: trust, maturity, and consistency. We're going to have to trust God like never before to cross over into this new decade. God whispered some incredible things to us last year. It's time for us to act on it and walk in it. And we're going to have to resist what our minds are telling us, and we're going to have to lean into what we know God is able to do in our lives, despite the way it currently looks or feels. Maturity. It's going to take maturity and sacrifice to move into this new decade. A mature person can sacrifice instant gratification for the greater good. That's the challenge for us. Consistency. If God has told us something, then we need to have faith and hold on to it. We have to keep going until he tells us something different. There's lessons to be learned in the process of refinement and in the process of moving toward a goal. The more you do a thing, the better you become at it. If you have to rework something, then do it. If you have to go back to school, go back. It's not the time factor that God's worrying about, but the obedience. So we have to learn to be consistent and obedient. Keep showing up, keep praying, and moving in the direction that he's pointed us in. And lastly, we're going to have to be focused this year. Focused on the decade before us. 10 years can fly by. We don't want to look back on this next decade and realize that little changed from the last. We want to take some big steps at the beginning of this year to be on a whole new level for the next decade of our lives.